All right, so first what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and go to your Geometry Honors second period um, class, and you're going to go ahead and click on the Online Math Geometry textbook. This was uploaded this morning, and this is going to allow you to go ahead and create a blank Geometry Honors textbook. This is where you're going to keep your notes. You also need your composition notebook because we're going to go back and forth between the two. Some of you guys may learn better by having it written down. That's awesome. Take your notes, please. Okay, there will be times where I'm going to do a notebook check. Okay, now the first thing that you're going to do, and this is what yours is going to look like, is it's going to open up on the first page, and you're going to go ahead and type your name here. So go ahead and type in your first and last name. That's going to go on the front cover. That way I know whose is whose. The other thing that you're going to do is up here it says blank Master Geometry Honors, and you can call it, start with your name, Erin Doherty. Okay, and you don't need master, but you can say Geometry Honors and then journal or textbook, whatever you would like. Okay, and that's going to be in your geometry, that's going to be your textbook that you're going to use for this class. Now I already have one started, so I'm going to go ahead and start with today's lesson. Today's lesson is on points, lines, and planes. That's what today's lesson was about. Okay, so we're going to first start off with, maybe it was this one, I apologize. Okay, so points, lines, and planes. Now later on, if you ever need to figure out what your lesson is, you can look at the table of contents, and this will go straight to the slide that you need it to go to, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So today's lesson is points, lines, and planes, and today you're going to learn about the vocabulary of a point, line, and plane, and what happens when the lines and planes intersect. So we started off with Desmos, so you won't need to worry about that. I would like you to define what the vocabulary is, and then we're going to go ahead and practice with a few slides. All right. Now, when you type in here, you're going to notice that there's like a little blue cursor. That's where I would like you to make sure you have your words. There will be a point in time when you're going to share your link with me so that I can access to make sure that you're taking notes. All right, so the first point is a location. Okay, so it's just a location, kind of like if I were to say a meeting point where two people would meet up, that would be a location, and that has no size in mathematics. That has no size or shape. All right, and you always use capital letters. Or capital letter to name a point. And take out that extra space there. So the way that I would identify this point right here is just by saying point A with a capital letter. So that's all that we would do for points. The next one would be line. All right, now a line is made up of at least 2 points. Or actually, a line is made up of a whole bunch of little points that reach from one infinity to another infinity. Okay, any 2 points form a line. We at least need 2 points to create a line. A line has no thickness or width. And notice how sometimes it turns black and I want that to be blue so it stands out. You can always change that color a little bit later. And I don't know why that's capitalized, but it is. Okay, name a line by any 2 points on a line or a lowercase script letter. So if I have a lowercase script letter, my example here would be line in. So notice how there's a little n right there at a lowercase n. That names the line. And in order to make it a script, you can italicize that in, and that way it is italicized. Now the next one we can do is we can say line, and we can use 2 letters or 2 points to name that line. So it would be line, capital X, Y. Those are points, so we do need to make sure they stay capitalized. And then our next one, and this is the one where Google Slides doesn't really do math justice because I can't insert equations on Google Slides. So what we're going to do is I've created this and it's off to the side. I made it in another program. and that's what that would be identified as. So the line on top has two arrows that continue on in both directions, and so we would name that a line X, Y. Now, another thing to point out is collinear. Whenever you see the word co, it just means it's on the same line. So it's kind of like if you're cooperating or you're cohesive, it's the word root is with, and so everything is on that line. So that collinear points are points that lie on the same line. Non-collinear are points that do not lie on the same line, and you must have at least 3 points because 2 points create a line, but 3, they might not be on the same line. That's actually a plane. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide, which we're going to talk about is a plane. So a plane is a very flat surface. All right, so it's a flat surface that's made up of points. Okay, and how many points do you need of a plane? We needed 2 for our line, and we only need 1 for a point, but we need 3 to make up any plane. Okay, so any 3 points make up a plane. All right, a plane extends indefinitely in all directions. Okay, so name a plane by any 3 non-collinear points on the plane and an uppercase script. Okay, and that means that it's going to be not on the same line, because if it's on the same line, we can't figure out if it flips around or turns on its axes. So in this case, when we're talking about this one, we just need 3 points. So we would say plane K, J, and L. I notice that's not blue, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to blue. All right. Okay, and then another way that we can name a plane is not only that those 3 points, but there's that script letter here, so we can name it plane, capital P, and I want to italicize that, so I'm going to go ahead and press highlight it, Control I, and it's italicized. All right, now coplanar points, so points that are on the same line on the same plane. So it's coplanar, they're on the same, that lie, sorry, that's a typo, that lie on the same plane. Okay, points that do not lie on the same plane, these are non-coplanar points, and there at least needs to be 4 points. So because 3 makes a plane, 1 more kind of shows that it's either not on the same plane. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when 2 lines intersect. So when 2 lines intersect, kind of like 2 roads intersecting, they're going to come to a point. Now it's gonna just end up being point. So like for this example on the left, it would just be point P. And I need to make sure I have that capitalized because we are talking about points. Now with 2 points, here, let me go ahead and do this, and this is going to be the example for what's on the left. It's going to be point P. All right, now when 2 planes intersect, so if you take 2 sheets of paper and you put them together, you will notice that they have kind of a crease. Well, that crease is now a line, so they're going to form a line. And the example for this would just be line K. Now K is lowercase, and it is italicized. See if I can try that again here. Yay! All right, Control I will italicize that K for you. And that's what you need to remember. So you have a point and you also have a line. All right, now we did get started on some practice. We'll do a few together, but then I would like you to do the other 2 slides on your own. So when we use the diagram at the right to name the following. Okay, 4 collinear points. So I'm going to look for 4 points, and whenever I see collinear, that means it's on the same line. All right, so I see H, N, K, I are all on the same line. So I would actually just specify, and remember with points, you don't need to say point beforehand. You would if you're out loud, but we can just specify capital H, capital N, capital K, and capital I. I would not say R because R is the name of the line. All right, A line that contains point M. So if I'm looking at point M, now the easiest way to name this line, because they gave me a lowercase letter to name this line, is just by saying line lowercase p. And so I can do that. Another way to name a line is I need 2 points, so this would just be line in O. I could also identify this, I'm going to move this image down, by specifying line MN. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the next problem, the line that contains point H and K. So I first have to identify H, which is right here, and there's K. So in order to name a line, I either need to name it by 2 points, so I can specify line in I. I can also specify it by stating, let's see, need to make this a little smaller. I can also specify it by just saying line R, and R is italicized. I'm not much of a stickler on the italicizing. You can also say line I in. There's a few different options for this. Okay, another name for line Q. So I first have to identify where Q is, and it's right here. And I'm going to go ahead, another name for line Q would be JK, or it could be line KL. I've already made some out here, so I can say line JK, line JL, line KL. Now I've created these myself, but if you don't have access to symbols, you can always just specify the line in front. So I can say line JK, and that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and make this blue real quick. There we go. All right, the intersection of lines P and R. So where they intersect, we would specify those two lines would intersect at point N. And remember, N is capitalized. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide. The next slide, we'll go as far as we can, but once we hit 15 minutes, it's up. Okay, a line containing point F. So here's that line. I can just say line J, lowercase j. Another name for line K. So here's line K right here going up and down. So I can go ahead and specify that by using 2 letters, line LC or EC with a symbol above it. It could also be line BC or line BE. If you have those inverted, or it could be EB, that's fine too. These are the examples that I just had. Okay, a plane containing point A. So whenever we're talking about a plane, we need 3 points. Okay, or if it identifies itself with a really fancy uppercase letter, that's going to name the plane. So I see that uppercase letter, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So plane M. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and italicize that. And I'm not loving this underlining bit right here, so I'm going to take that out. And another way that I can identify this figure is if it's a plane, I can name it with 3 points. So I could say plane, and then if I'm using points, I can say D, E, A, but they need to make sure you're not on the same line when you're naming a plane. Okay, an example of 3 non-collinear points. So that means that they're not on the same line. Now, I need to find just 3 points that are not on the same line. So I definitely don't want to pick like BEC or DEF because those are on the same line. But I could pick A because it's all by itself, D, and C, and those would not be on the same line. You could have different answers, and that's fine. There's a lot of different answers you could have for this. For this next one, we're going to have the intersection of plane M and line K. This is the plane for M, and then the line K kind of shoots right through it, kind of like a pencil going through a piece of paper. And where they meet is at point E. Okay, all right, so that concludes our lesson for today. I would love for you to go ahead and complete the next 2 slides on your own, just for practice.